Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And Bitcoin has been absolutely ripping towards the upside over the past couple of days, forming a new higher high on the candle chart. Now, this has everyone on the edge of their seats asking just how high Bitcoin can go. And if you guys don't know, Bitcoin has been in a major uptrend over the past couple of months, setting both higher lows and higher highs. So this has been a very exciting time. So I'm going to be giving my personal technical analysis on where I believe Bitcoin can go from here based upon the candle chart and some of the indicators and oscillators. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this, because of course with Bitcoin pushing higher, this has a lot of potential in it. So this has been really cool, and I want to go ahead and turn this to the 1 day before we get into anything too specific, just to really kind of show how Bitcoin has been setting these higher lows all the way out throughout this trend, and now that it's even approaching the 6K level, it's still doing the same thing. So initially it ripped all the way up to around the 5K range, and then once we got into the 5K range on Bitcoin, as we move this to the 4 hour, you can see that it's still setting higher lows, bouncing off the 200 EMA previously, set another higher low, and then kept going back upwards. Now you can see that it does have a little bit of a resistance line, in this area, and so with this happening, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 separate swing touch points if this one is actually going to hold here, which it looks like it is going to. So ideally what we'd see is something around the 200 EMA back on Bitcoin, but ultimately it can actually keep on pushing from here, because it looks definitely like it's very strong, and you're actually seeing previous resistance now turn support on Bitcoin. So what was looking like a very bearish situation down here is now a very bullish situation for Bitcoin, as long as it holds up here, because of the fact that, and if we go ahead and show this through a support line, we can see that previous resistance is now support for Bitcoin, which is a big thing in defining the trend. So a lot of people do think that this is the start of the bull market, and rightfully so. But again, we still do have one of the largest, if not the largest, form of resistance in the history of Bitcoin right above us. And I want to go ahead and show that through the bottom of this descending triangle. So now that we're actually getting very, very close to start actually testing some of this hard resistance, it's going to be very unique to see how Bitcoin reacts. It's going to be very exciting, and obviously there's going to be a lot of potential in this area for both shorting and longing, really depending on the direction that Bitcoin chooses to go in and over here. But looking at this on the RSI, it actually did, setting this on the RSI, what we actually did see is a higher high on the RSI. Again, another very, very bullish thing. Ideally, what you had over here to begin with is actually just this lower high, and of course this tanked the price all the way back down to the oversold line being at 30, rallied right off of here, kind of double bottom-esque sort of feel from the RSI, and then came back up, now forming a higher high, oversold all the way, or really overbought all the way at 86 on the RSI chart, which stands for the relative strength index. So obviously this thing just kind of going parabolic over the last like 24 hours or so, just making major moves and major strides towards the upside. So it's a very exciting time. So if I wanted to know whether or not this is actually going to come back down here, I would be watching for a lower swing high. So maybe if it does start retracing here and then it swings back up and it has a lower swing high, I would be a little bit skeptical, as if, really to believe if it's going to keep going or not. But for the time being, there's really no reason to believe that this should stop going. Again, former resistance turns support, but in the same way, yes, it is hitting this resistance line. So maybe it is time for this to just pull back a little bit. Again, this thing over the past like couple of days has ripped all the way from 5,100 all the way to 5,700. It's up $600, and you only have like a few very, very small red candles scattered throughout this range. So maybe it is time it gets a little bit of pullback before just continuing this uptrend and maybe testing resistance again. And so ideally, something that could happen is that maybe it comes back down and then goes back up and tests the resistance line around 5,900 or so, because that would make sense over here in this area. So again, with Bitcoin being in this situation, it's a very unique one. It's a very hard one, because this is kind of this awkward transitional zone where people are trying to figure out, is Bitcoin actually reversing, or is this just a bounce from the giant bear market that we've had to the left? Is this actually going to be this trend reversal, or is this just going to be a giant fake out? And a lot of people are very conflicted about this, because usually, the saying is, you buy the dip in the bull market and then you sell the rip in the bear market. So every time Bitcoin rips, people are so used to shorting it, especially me myself, so that when we were just, selling the rip up here, now we're getting a little bit caught off guard because for the past couple of months, you can't just keep selling the rip because it just keeps getting higher highs on the candle chart. And so looking at this on the MACD as well, you can see that the MACD also set a higher high over here. Again, a very bullish thing to see. What looked as, apparently it would be bearish divergence originally, has turned into a very, very bullish situation for Bitcoin. And I think that that's something very well to notice. So I think that it is significant that we could very well come up and to actually test around this $5,900, $6,000 resistance line on Bitcoin. And the reason for that being is I don't believe, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, or probably about a week or two ago on the Patreon, I don't believe that we came all this way up not to test a resistance. And, I think we're proving that point right now is that, especially when we are down in here, we didn't come all this way. We didn't come all the way up to this range just to not test resistance. Someone told that to me, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense because for us to get all the way up here and then just not even touch resistance, not even to test it once, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So the fact that we're kind of slowly creeping up and approaching this makes me do actually believe that we have a little bit higher to push before actually seeing any kind of real rejection in the price action of Bitcoin. And the reason for that being, again, I do think that we're going to have to test this resistance at some point around $6,000, $5,900. Maybe that is a dip buy and then it comes back up and rallies up to that range, or maybe it just kind of slowly creeps up from here before seeing rejection. There's a lot of ways that it can play out. However, it does look for the moment and really just for the time being that this is forming an ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish formation continuation pattern overall. However, we have seen those contradicted before. It's not to say that it is 100% that it just has to break down from here. Again, with these rising ascending wedges, there is a lot of room for this guy to bounce around in, and obviously getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it will be cool to see really how this plays out from here. On the one day, you can see that the golden cross is playing out absolutely beautifully. What I personally thought to be a fake out is starting to look considerably more and more and more bullish every day. That we obviously as we keep rallying towards the upside. So it's really cool. You can see a little bit of a rejection off of this support line, but that's nothing too much to worry about for the short-term time being, as again, Bitcoin's up nearly $600-700 over the last 3 or 4 days. So an absolute great time to be a part of cryptocurrency, especially if you are holding some. Not so fun to short. I was in a small short down around 5,300, and obviously that didn't play out so well. And now that Bitcoin actually is setting consistent higher lows, it's one of those things where I'm actually starting to look into possibly start longing Bitcoin more consistently, because for a long time I was just focused on shorting because obviously this is just a giant bear market. It's like I said, sell the rip instead of buying the dip. But now we're looking like this might be more of a buy the dip kind of scenario where every time Bitcoin comes down, you kind of just keep buying up the dips over here. You buy the dip, you buy the dip, you buy the dip, and then this thing just keeps on rallying. Obviously, you can say the opposite and you can just keep selling the rip. But, in the overall perspective, this is setting higher lows, which indicates that this is going to keep pushing up over here, at least until we get to this major resistance range. So I am being very, very hesitant about actually shorting this anymore. And unless I see some very heavy divergence, I'm not sure I want to. I think it's going to be one of those times where, yes, if we do see a massive rejection from the 6K range and come back down here, obviously I will say that this is just a continuation of the bear market. But for the time being, it does look like Bitcoin potentially really just has the potential to market reverse. However, it is not going to be a market reversal until it breaks and holds over this previous very, very heavy support level now turned resistance. So until that happens, I think it's going to stay a bear market, but it looks like we're coming up to that range with a lot of momentum and thus creates a lot of potential. So that is pretty much going to be it for this video, guys. It is a very, very exciting time. A lot of stuff happening in cryptocurrency. Congratulations on everyone who went long here. Hopefully you can take some profits out of this guy and not get caught if it does break down. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know in the comment section, are you guys bullish or are you guys bearish from this point? Can Bitcoin break the 6K range? I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.